Hey, this is Tiger. Welcome to my stream. Hey, AJ, thank you for your good evening. I just dropped in, have been out with the dog, so nothing is organized. And well, since I forgot to delete the counter from for Thursday, right? I just thought, well, just let's have the stream, even if most probably nobody is going to watch since. Yeah, well, at the same time, Dovetail Games is announcing the the new Thomas the Tank Engine game with all his friends. No, not with all his friends, but with a couple of his friends that were not playable before. So we are actually competing with this. Unfortunately, I did not know that when I forgot to delete my timer. CD Radar. Oh, this is hard to say. Protect. And I forgot what that means. I think I have this. I have read this before. Stvirtek. Thursday? Sounds like Thursday. But it can be. Have a nice meal. Oh, yeah, it means Thursday. Yes, he wrote it in the chat. Kara. We were right. That's one heck of a word for. Well, yeah. I can never remember. I once learned the Polish names for the weekdays, like Pony Czwalik and things like this. But it's I think Stvirtek is like the fifth day or something like that. It's connected with that. What? Maybe completely wrong. But we're not here actually to talk about the Czech language and the Slavic days of the week, but about the Great Western Express Remaster. That is actually not out yet. Usually I'm very reluctant to do something like this, to show off the stuff between the end of the embargo that prohibits us ambassadors to show content of the new stuff that we can access with the beta channel on Train Sim World 6 on Steam. But today, since I'm here anyway, why not? Let's do it. And, well, as I said, nobody's going to watch anyway because everyone is watching Thomas the Tank Engine and the wonders of Sodor that have been released an hour ago, and now they are doing a live stream about it. And the Great Western Express Remaster is already an old thing since it has been announced, even though it is not actually up at the moment. So what would I want to actually Great Sim World 6 Great Western Express Remaster. That is what I need for a DLC marker. And Spectre, unfortunately, is not here, but there is 802. The disclaimer I have to fix again because today we're not using the online Ebula anymore. So I only need DTG named as benefactors of the stream. So yeah, let's have a look. What do we get? To the trains, choose a route, and then the Great Western Express. Let's have a look what we have. It finds itself in Timetable, and we have already two different timetables for the Great Western Express. The 2016 one is the original one that was sold in the Train Sim World without a number era. 2020 then, and the first DLC that actually was released. And then a couple of months later, there was the Diesel Legends of the Great Western, where we had all the, or a lot of the locomotives that were released in a different way put into this. And now we have the remastered one, the Great Western Express 2017 timetable. To look at it, and let's say what trains we have. The class 47484. This is just a special locomotive. I think this is the diesel rail tour pack. And look at this, we have now the first group Britain liveries. They have been in the game, if you think back. I think, what was it? It was the Turbo Star stream, the unboxing one where we had all the trains lined up that more or less come from this line of development. And then we realized, or I realized at this point, that you can spawn the Networker Turbo, the 166 from the Great Western Express, in this first group livery, even though it never appeared in any timetable in the game, according to my knowledge, and now it is even here. And you can see that we have the Great Western Express with the first group written in a lot of different variations, and it's actually always difficult to say where those different versions come from. 2-car, we have 3-car, and this one at least has in this picture a split screen. And maybe at some point in time we'll find out actually why we have so many different versions of the same train here to pick from. 169 services are announced here. Then we have the Desiro, the 350 in white livery here. We have one for the Airport Connect that is called now. It lives in West Coast Main Line South, London Euston to Milton Keynes. And well, at least this one is for the Great Western Express, because this is where the Airport Connect runs. And we have those services now. It says 000, but that is apparently a thing that might actually be fixed at some point. They know about that. Then we have the this one here from the, what is it called again? The Rail Operations Group, yeah, exactly. The 37 from this special. There was Rail Operations Group from this DLC that gave you this locomotive. That was the time when you could get those packs of 3 additional locomotives to your routes. That were sold for actually quite a little money. Then a high-speed train here also with the first group written. Livery, 8 cars, 7 cars. The class 43 is called here. And then obviously in the Great Western Railway. Livery to run here, 11 services it says. Maybe that's what it is. Then the 47s, a whole bunch of 47s, the one from Northern Transpennine, the classic and old one, and then the different liveries, the blue, the IC, the large logo, the high visibility light. Yeah, high visibility light is the HI, I think. That's not on the old version. That comes with the Northern Transpennine is the word, and you can see the other ones are from the Blackpool Parnassus and the West Coast Main Line SHAP, what is the name that they use here for the Preston Carlisle DLC. So this is very, very just trains dominated here. And then the sheds, the class 66 with all the different things that come from the cargo line packages, aggregates, intermodal, East Coastway, Peterborough Line, petroleum. The one that we talked about in connection with the nuclear DLC, Edinburgh Glasgow, the blue one, Edinburgh Glasgow, the pink one, and then a lot that come from East Coastway, South Eastern High Speed, London Euston to Milton Keynes here without the south behind the West Coast Main Line. And then many different versions in the Great Western Express, or saying it comes from the Great Western Express, really don't know. if they are actually different versions or if they are only registered here in different versions. Then we have the class 802. Spectre asked for it whether we will get some services, and we're getting some services. Not all are really long, 3 shunters more or less, and then 2 services, Royal Oak carriage sidings. Well, that's an empty coach move, and Reading to London. Paddington obviously drive the 4th part of this IED test service from Reading to London Paddington, so no regular services more or less. But this is one set of services to drive this around. Flying Scotsman appears in 4 rail tour parts. The class 484 from the Isle of Wight, 2022, I think it was. Route Modern 1 appears here in the London Underground livery with a white, blue, and red, and runs on this short part from London Paddington to Royal Oak Station. And Red Leader, hey, as he says, nice to see you. Yeah, those services are in here. It says 0. That's actually more, but they are really short, right? They're running here from, that's the Hammersmith, and what's the other one? The Circle Line, I think, actually, where the London Underground comes in here, and it says London Paddington to Westbourne Park, and in between the Royal Oak Station, maybe. At least it says that Westbourne Park and Royal Oak Station have been added. So at some point we will probably dive into one of those services and play them. Anyway, the nice thing that they added this, at least even if you don't want to play it, it is probably a nice thing for immersion. And the Voyager also appears in a couple of short empty stock moves around Reading. So most of the work will be done by those, by the network and turbo, and we will see. The 350 stands in for the 360 for the airport connection. It says 0 services, but there are actually more services, so I will just try out one of the services that is supposed to get us to London Heathrow. Maybe this one, 831 London Paddington to Hayes and Harlington. Does not look that we are actually branching off to London Heathrow. There is a very unique split, a splitting distance signal before you can branch off to London Paddington. I know because someone who really knows about that told me in one of the comments. As far as I know, it is the only splitting distance signal in the United Kingdom that can show flashing yellow aspects, what is a total anomaly. Yeah, sorry for that. Let's see where this takes us. London Paddington to Hayes and Harlington. Obviously, as a driver, many conductor mode services have been added, and we are already in the week-long deal sale now. And see, is that true? Is that the one, the current one? I never know if you can rely on those pictures that show up here during the loading screen. And Red Leader says, I don't think there is any sale right now for Steam users. That is, well, the Festival of Rails is coming up. It has already been announced, and there is some sort of a sale connected with it, I'm sure. But to be honest, we sometimes get this information a bit ahead and under NDA, and I forget it again immediately. so that I don't leak anything. So the only thing that I can say is that there will most probably be another sales event, but I can't tell you when and concerning what. So here we are on the 350, standing in for the 360. Taking people to London Heathrow. Let's find the wipers. Where are the lights on this train? I'm so forgetful sometimes. There is a festival of rail sale. Perfect. Thank you. Let's at any rate turn on. Okay, let's see if we forgot something. Normal. Normal. Great. So we have a green light, we don't need the DRA. The only thing is I don't know where the lights are here. Marker lights, daylights, cab equipment lights, instrument and desk. And Preston Carlisle is 40% off. If you don't have it yet, pick it up. It is a super important route to have. One of the greatest in the game. Let's close the doors so that we can start. We're starting actually from underneath with 25 miles. Oh yeah, get it. It is something that you can't not have. And 40% off is a decent enough discount. I would have gotten it myself now if I... Yes, look at this! There's one of the 484D trains for the London Underground. Going to Westbourne Park. Look how much there is happening while we are leaving. HST with the first group livery. And Red Leader says JT, just trains routes have really good quality, but 80s is not my favorite time period. It actually was not mine, but just trains actually made this time period feel so super cozy, especially for the routes in Great Britain. So I did not pay attention. Can accelerate to 40. We have to stop at at Ealing Broadway. Not at East Ealing, at Ealing Broadway. So in case you wondered, I don't have any mods running. This is the quality that you get. I have some tweaks to my ini file, the engine ini, but that is something that everybody can do without having to install any third-party software. You hear that? That's not Thomas. It was an AI whistle. And now we can accelerate at 50. Alert leader says for sure I wouldn't buy it if it wasn't from just trains. ASRTU, hello there. So since we talked about it, I actually thought, well, I'm not pulling any shoes here. I am. Is this the Thomas and Friends weird game thingy? No. I cannot show you the wonders of Southall yet. I only can sneak peek you the Great Western Express. That will come to you in a very short time. What was that? It was 80 for us, right? It was 80 for us. It was. Now, I know that I'm running against the wonders of Southall, a live stream. I wasn't aware that there will be one. So, no hard feelings. The cursor looks weird. Well, that is my big cursor, so that I can actually see it. This train is a layer from the Mildmay line. Probably. We can check later when we're back in the service selection thing. It is actually not less than 30 layers that layer into this. The Mildmay, I have not really looked at it properly. What is the overview? We can actually go 85 and have to slow down to 80 again. We will just check it out. I think that this train, at least it said so in selection, that it is at home on the West Coast Main Line South. And it might have gotten a new livery. No, that was not already. Slow down early-ish. No, that was correct. I brake too hard, but the correct point. Yeah, I think you're right. It is layering from West Coast Main Line South. Any hot takes about the Southall thingy magic? Well, now that it's out, I can tell you that this project was first announced to us last year in August when we had this office meetup. At this point, not yet as a standalone game. That decision must have been made later. And it will be interesting to see how it works. I'm a great fan of Thomas the Tank Engine as the old BBC series. I'm not so super convinced yet of Thomas the Tank Engine in Train Sim World, since for my taste, it is just rather boring to drive with the simple driving controls. So if there were actually really Steam physics and Steam controls, that would be super great for me. But the whole franchise is obviously super cute. Oh, I stopped a bit harsh here. Yeah, Thomas is not for me, says Red Leader. And I said, did I read wrong, or are the 484 services 5 minutes long? Yes, they are short. Oh. What the heck? People are dropping out of the walkway here.
Across the railway network. Do not
West Ealing is the next stop, and it is quite close. How fast can we go here? 90. I doubt that we will get to that. At least they are not jumping to the track. Yeah, that's true. That always gives me such a scare. I guess dropping out of the walkways is traditional or a legacy bug from the old line. And there is also Schnellfahrstrecke Köln-Aachen Remaster. From what I understood, the remaster will be not as far-reaching as the Great Western Express remaster. Not to the least because Schnellfahrstrecke Köln-Aachen already got a timetable update quite recently. A big one. But there will be an update especially for the time of day system. And some legacy bug fixes. It was just weird that they didn't do the remaster in the first place. Yeah, well, why not? Why not split things like this, timetable and then remaster? Brings the route back into focus twice. So unlike this one here, it won't get any announcements. Köln-Aachen.
Please be aware that opportunist thieves operate at this station and across the railway network. Do not become a victim of crime. Please also note that in the interests of safety, cycling, skateboarding and rollerblading are not permitted anywhere on the station.
Hanwell. It is. So 350 Desiro is actually not the correct train, but the 360 is not so different. We've had a video about the Desiro train family, and there we also mentioned the 360, I think. And that it is doing the Heathrow Connect, and now we are here playing. Brakes are really, really effective here on this train. It's one of the trains that you don't break by notches, but by percentages. Long it takes.
Service to Heathrow Airport, calling at Southall, Hayes.
From the interior.
Airport. The next train to arrive at platform 2.
They're stuck with the green.
Great Western Railway service to
No,
Reading,
not. Oh, well, I can't tell you.
Hanwell, Hayes, West Drayton, Ivor, Langley, Slough, Maidenhead, Twyford, and Reading. Platform 2 for the 0849 Great Western Railway service to Reading.
Yeah, well, it looks amazing. So much I already can say. And since it is completely for free for everyone who owns the Great Western Express, the route DLC, it deserves a lot of appreciation. Any speed change coming up? That's 90, 80, no, 80, 80 probably. But we have to stop at Southall anyway. So we won't be able to enjoy that speed for too long. Here's the 80 already announced with a moped board. It's always a nice thing to do. Gotta be careful, these trainers are a way of stopping at the last bit, like throwing an anchor.
Some platforms at this station have no or only partial tactile paving on the platform edge. Once the train arrives, please mind the step from the platform onto the train.
I think the announcements are also new in terms of topics. Some that we did not have so far on other routes that have announcements. Okay, Hayes and Harlington, that is already the end of our service. Speed limit oscillates between 80 and 90 on this route here, on this track. So double yellows. I hope there will not be another home signal before we get to the platform, and probably there is not. At least I can't see any. And Red Leader says the 350 looks really different with his livery. Didn't recognize that what it was until you said what it was. Yeah, it actually feels a bit different as well. Maybe I'm just imagining this, but I have a feeling it brakes harder than the version that I used last time. The ones that come with Birmingham crew. And it has this anchor throwing characteristic of the brake in to burn away the last clicks immediately if you don't do anything against it. So I guess it's the last service, the last stop here for this service.
Unattended luggage can cause unnecessary security alerts.
Platform 3 for the 0852
Well, the announcements are
Heathrow Connect service to Heathrow Airport.
They are nice, aren't they?
Heathrow Airport only.
That's it. Woink, woink, woink. Let's see if I can go back to free roam and show you how this service actually goes to Heathrow. Because it actually should branch off here towards Heathrow a bit to the south. Yeah, don't look at me so strict.
Western Railway service to London Paddington.
Let's see if we can find this splitting distance signal that can show the flashing yellows. I found it once, but I can't tell you exactly where it is now. Maybe we've passed it already. Since it should actually announce this junction towards Heathrow. It should actually be before we get there. We must actually have passed it already. That's our train being driven by the AI towards Heathrow. think it's around this canal thing here. That's what I thought last time. Here we go, I think. Nope. I thought they were around the canal. But I don't find them yet. I have to refer to this comment. And the commentator pointing it out. I think it should be here when you are actually crossing the canal. Before you get to the station. Anyway, let's get back to the main menu and do something else. And Red Leader says the Worm Crew version was made by a different studio. Guess DTG gave them the model and physics scripts, but they might have made some adjustments here and there, and it always feels weird when you go inside the train and 2 or 3 other passengers that are sitting together have the same face model. Yeah, that is true. They did a lot to the passengers, but sometimes they appear to have the same faces and the same facial expressions. They are all really, 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 really serious people, the passengers that we have here. It's hard to catch someone laughing or looking annoyed. So let's look at the layers. Did I pick the correct one? No. Because I last played it, got ordered in a different way. So 30 out of 30 layers are active. It takes actually a bit. Intercity services for the Great Western Railway, the Diesel Legends, Circle and Hammersmith City Line from the Isle of Wight, a Central Line from London Euston to Milton Keynes, Intercity Summer Services DLC, District Line, Salisbury Services from the Midland Main Line, Rail Tour Flying Scotsman, 38 stock. Actually, the 38 stock is having a rail tour here. Why did I not see it then? Maybe it is only doing AI. Some of those layers are AI only. The networker services for the Great Western Railway, Freight Class 66, Mildmay Line, London Overground, Heathrow Airport Connect, IET Test Services, the 802, the HKA Wagons, Night Sleeper Services, Parliamentary Train from the Mildmay, West London Line, the HST Farewell Rail Tour not owned. Yeah, well, that is because it has not been released yet. But it's somewhere in the pipeline, is it not? Class 220, that's the Voyager, the Railhead Treatment Train, the Woodham's Phoenix Rail Tour. Interesting, actually. I've never looked at the layers so closely than the different. And the Piccadilly line is also here as a... Well, they said somewhere 23 DLCs actually layer into this line. If you want to have everything. That is coming. I expected the Great Western Railway Pack to come at the same time as the Remaster. I'm not sure if it might actually have been planned that way, but it is not far away as far as I know. And when Train Sim World 6 released, it was really easy finding most of them coughing. Yeah, well, that is true. To get the ambience running. But laughing, they actually are regularly not caught laughing. So let's do one of the short underground services. Do we go in or out? Let's go in, huh? Oh no, let's go out. And we can have a look at the Westbourne Park. New stations that are in. Let's stick with the custom weather, but let's have a bit of a foggy environment. Have a bit of fog coming down. Clouds. Start it. Aldgate to Hammersmith. Starting at London Paddington. They should adjust the fog bar. If you go half the bar, you will not see anything. That is true, because 50% is already perceived as you can't see anything. We should have a logarithmic scale on the fog bar, maybe, so that it is easier to get the nuances right in the lower end of the scale. Get started. So, how did this train work again in the London Underground livery? Let's make it easy. Safety systems on. Let's cut in everything that we can find. Unlocked. But it says safety systems isolated. It was always a weird train. TPF is it? Now it is in. Is there still a fuse somewhere? Some of those trains have. It is still. Cut out at any point. Now we should be good, right? Oh yeah, now we are good. Okay. Yeah. Lights are already on. Start with 20. Does that change at any point in time? 40, 30, 40. And the red says I can't help you. I do not own Isle of Wight. Last time I drove this train was like 2 years ago, where we did the video about the ET brakes, I think. Okay. This is one of the new stations, Royal Oak. You cannot spawn here though, from what I've seen. But you can stop here. And I have to get used to moving those underground trains a bit better. Because you always want to be like breakaway. How many throttle steps do I actually have? 7. Well, it's a decent thing, right? So there are 30 coming up. Oh, soonish. In the tunnel. After the tunnel we should be back to 40. Yeah, it's nicely signaled. Already a yellow. We're having a 4th rail, as you can see. These London Underground trains don't send back the electricity over the return path in the rails, but at least underground we use a 4th rail as a return path, because otherwise our electricity will go all over the place. With all the debris in London soil, even from Victorian times. So this is where those underground trains go. Circle line.
Mind the gap, please.
Probably also the Hammersmith line. Yeah, here it peters out, but the Westbourne Park station is in the game now, and one of the 2 new stations that we have here. That's nice, right? You can really stop your train in place. That's that, one of the short services. And now, nice that you are showing this. These services says Red Leader. Matt didn't in the official stream. Well, I was actually looking forward to them. I guess you can't play a lot of them until it gets a bit dull, but it's super that they are in the game, at least for immersion when you're driving out of Paddington and there is actually something happening. And he did a huge preview stream. Yes, I heard. They talked about it on the Ambassador Discourse that he was almost not able to stop. And, well, at the office meetup, he told us and repeated a couple of times that he's so happy that he can actually play the game in those streams and the charity streams when he's like 24 hours or longer on, and that he's really enjoying this, because that's more or less the only occasion for him to be able to play his own game. Yeah, did you see that number here? 1,357 playable services. 2 of them are already completed, so we're getting there. Let's do a full run maybe, and maybe on the high-speed train with the first group Britain livery. And no, I don't know which one I should pick. Maybe that one. Probably doesn't make too much of a difference. There are some services, empty stock moves. Okay, then it makes sense. Reading to London Paddington, London Paddington. Let's do one of those. It's already early in the morning. Yeah, Red Leader. He said a couple of times he would want to do more of his private streams, but he can't find the time. I can totally understand that. Even me, a lowly ambassador, since I am an ambassador, I hardly find the time to play the game without any connection to doing streams, recording videos, preparing stuff. Bristol Temple Meds or Meads to London Paddington. Temple Meads or Meds. I don't know. You know, it always reminds me of Meadows, but it sounds weird. All right. Unlock the doors. How did that work here? Again, this is the master key. Unlocked. Engine off. Neutral. And open the doors. I think we need some lights. Where are the lights here again? Here. Days. The eyes are spare. We don't know. Then we have to find our safety systems. Where are those again? There are some. They were on a switch somewhere here. Safety systems should be okay. Right side of the cabin, yes, exactly, thank you. This thing here is for the ATP, the automatic train protection, Great Western style. That has the color, but not the logo of the first Group Britain on it. It looks even more like a fish, this train. Also, that thing belongs to the ATP and this specific speed clock with those lamps around. At some point in time, and I don't think this will be so far away, I will do a stream about this safety system, even if it is not working in the game. One of the projects that actually made sense, but then were too expensive to implement on a large scale. Oh, we still have to fill the whole brake pipe. We should have done this before starting, probably. I always find this is super with those brushes. Okay, probably you would notch into 5 at this speed. Well, let's see how the train takes it. Heard they couldn't use it. In fact, the livery has always been there, just couldn't be used. Yeah, just like with the Networker Turbo, right? The livery was there. We're starting with 40, is that correct at this point? Yes. Or even 30? No, 40. And I'm going across the switch. And I didn't know the story, I just found it because you could spawn it. In free roam. And now they are apparently confident enough at least to use the liveries. Even without the branding correctly. Speed profile already is at 125. This is the maximum. Okay, we won't stop. So we can just accelerate this thing. I'm hoping they will get access to all brands with a nationalization, but not sure if it works that way legally. Yeah, that would be an interesting question, but I guess that all the train operating companies will retain their rights for the brands and liveries that they used before the days of great British Railways. And then we'll be back like in the days of the Just Trains DLCs. Every train will look the same. It would be great if they could add the LNWR logo to the 350s. That is so true. The 350s always look a bit like a work in progress in your livery designer. Here the Networker Turbo in the first group written logo livery. In a way, this color scheme always looks so 90, in my opinion. Shit. Well, talking about looking 90 with the pinky 1 logo and livery. Apparently the guess is it is Matt's favorite just because it has pink doors. AJ is also into pink very much, so it's appreciated. Even if I'm not sure, because it is a very, very reddish pink, almost magenta, is it not? Was that the 802? Passing us here. Well, that's a bit weird how those signals always start with the top right corner being cut off. Until you approach properly. Look. Must be somehow connected with the background. And the curse of the high-speed trains. Not a lot is happening. On the other hand, we have the opportunity to admire the landscaping. So with a different background, we don't have this weird thing with the cut off right, top right corner. This year is freaking crazy, says ASRTU. And Red Leader says, yeah, max power until 125 and then switching between 4 and 5. Some people say it's actually more effective if you let it drop by like 10 clicks before accelerating back to maximum speed. And we have a lot, oh, even two together. The one in the Great Western livery and the rear one in the first group. Livery. And ASRT is saying they are evacuating a town in Andalusia because apparently the ground can't handle 2,000 liters of rain in 24 hours. That does not sound too great. Sounds like people in Spain are not really getting a break. So much rain that there have been quakes and everything. Red Leader says, don't know if you heard the news, but an AVE, a Spanish high-speed train, derailed because the government idiots did not proper maintenance of the track, the 46 people. So is it already established that it was a lack of maintenance for the track? I obviously heard about the accident and that, yeah, a broken rail caused it. But the thing is, there are a lot of different processes and reasons for rails breaking. I'd wait on the official reports, says ASRTO, because the rail is 8 months old. Half the rail was 8 months and the other half was 40 years old. The soldiers, as Red Leader was broke. I guess this is typically the reason if you have a derailment because of a broken rail, that the connection where the rail itself, the metal part, is connected to the concrete sleeper or whatever you have, and then the clamps that are somehow anchored into it. I did not see what we have to slow down for. Why did we get an AWS alert? Well, we have fog. And ASR2 says, I would say that's crazy, but can't say much because Catalan railways are now in a state where we had a couple of years ago a derailment in Germany where we had a broken rail due to some processes, quite complicated processes happening in the concrete of the sleeper. And then with the train running around the corner, the rail was more or less tilted to the side. And 3 or 4 people died. You know, this ASR here, they have shut down for a few days some lines, nothing big. 1,200 kilometers of track, just over 600 and counting. Critical points detected in the last few days. Red Leader says, yeah, I know. I live in Spain. Oh yeah, so you're both actually from Spain. So I read the report of the unabhängige Untersuchungsstelle für Eisenbahnunfälle, or is the German equivalent to the NTSB. A non-partisan organization or agency to look into rail accidents. And it is really crazy how complicated it is to determine what happens in the concrete that you use for concrete sleepers over time, and what processes can actually, yeah, more or less take away the stability of the material. Don't you worry, 16-year-old won't be able to access social media, says ASRT. Yeah. I also heard that Spain is picking this up after Australia did it a couple of months ago. So, we have a lot of fog. Do you think the fog will clear again? Before we go to London Paddington. It's already 11 miles to go. And we have to slow down to 19.545. He only added a little bit to the bar. Yeah, but that was for the underground service, I think. For this service, I actually had the dynamic weather do the trick. ID checks for accessing social media. Oh. Well, I guess for most people it would actually be a blessing not to be forced to deal with their social media every day. They could achieve so much more. France is planning that too, yeah. From what you heard. And Germany is thinking about it, but there are no specific plans yet. Germany, they are more or less thinking about what can we do to increase the safety on our trains. Don't know if you guys heard that, but beginning of the week, a guard on a train was killed by a passenger who did not have a ticket. And that is obviously a thing that makes you very concerned about the safety on our trains. And these artists mainly they suffer from the you come here or because you are evading the law. Website ban. What was that? Weird. 100. Incoming. Well, train politics. I don't know how it is in Spain actually. Do you have a limited access to platforms and stations? Like gates? Barring people without a ticket from entering platforms and trains? Like you know that from Great Britain, I think France does it as well. Big stations have gates, I see. Smaller, no. But in Germany, actually, you can walk onto almost every platform on every station. No matter how big or small. And on almost every train. And for the high-speed platforms, you have a bag check, alright. That would actually be the only thing, in my opinion, to actually increase the safety on the trains and the security. They are debating whether it should not be allowed that there is only one guard on the train, but there always need to be two of them. Well, actually, it would not have saved or prevented this tragedy from happening, even if there are two of them. Sometimes the guard can't check multiple units because, well, no connection between the units. Yes, but the idea is actually to provide additional safety for the guards, so the guards would have been in pairs, and well, even a pair of guards is not actually any safeguard that they don't get attacked by the wrong people. So the only way to keep the wrong people off the trains is to control the access to the platforms and trains at the stations. Now they are debating whether they want to have more federal police on the trains. Well, even if this was feasible, you can't have every guard accompanied by enough officers to prevent something like this from happening. Funny, looking at current status of lines for the past 2 weeks, it's been more common to find no service than partial full service in Spain. Okay. So I'm coasting into London Paddington. Unfortunately, the dynamic weather has given us a lot of fog, so we cannot really see a lot of the remastered scenery. Yeah, let's turn it on. Let's see how the frame rate actually develops here. So I wonder whether the limit to 40 will actually start soon to 50, and then 40, and then 25. The Red Leader, yeah, because since the track in Andalusia wasn't well maintained, and the engineers are saying other tracks are also not well maintained. Well, the problem is if you don't know exactly what was the problem with the maintenance, it's hard to say in what spots we have similar problems. And if you take a look at train vibration videos in X, you will agree with the engineers most probably. Yeah. Already we are where the lines are numbered. But we're not in the 25 yet, no, not even in the 40. We have a lot of time to waste actually, with 4 minutes to kill before we have to stop at London Paddington. 40 is announced by a Morpeth. Nah, bro, it's funny how, like, yesterday they decided we're creating a proactive maintenance team, and I was like, what do you mean it's 2026 and there is no proactive maintenance team yet? That's sometimes the most surprising thing with the new inventions, that you think, oh, we don't have this yet. Talk to some drivers and they go, yeah, they haven't found anything. That's why they have implemented 5 gazillions temporary speed restrictions. Yeah, this is really difficult, because problems like this can actually lurk almost everywhere in the network. 3 pages of security warning notes. I guess we would have this in Germany as well. We're just not that crazy about it because not that many people died because of it. Layers RTO wouldn't be surprised that would be now and 3 weeks ago. There are more than 2,000 temporary speed restrictions. A lot of people do not trust. The thing is, in Germany, people are not really concerned with the safety of railways, but are almost obsessed with the lack of the punctuality. So this is London Paddington, where we are arriving. With our first group high-speed train. This is our brother from the Great Western Railway to the left. Now we're in the station, but this looks really great. Look at this ceiling. How the lighting works there.
Calling at Acton Main Line, Ealing Broadway, West
That
Ealing,
is
Drayton
fine
Green,
work,
Castle
I should say.
South Greenford.
I think this is a difficult thing to accomplish, but
Passengers intending to travel
this
on the service, please join the train now,
astounding
as it
good.
is ready to leave. Platform 12 for the 07:45 Great Western Railway service to Greenford, which is ready to leave. 24-hour CCTV recording is in operation at this station for the purpose of security and safety management.
Guys, I think this is where I will leave it at that. We've looked at 3 services. We've looked at what the Great Western Railway Remaster will have to offer. If you don't have the Great Western Railway yet, pick it up in a sale. It's typically something that can be had for not too much money. And then start picking up the 23 DLCs that layer into this route now. And Aizatio and Red Leader, thank you so much for talking to me.
Great Western Railway service to Oxford.
And CD Radar is still here, and there's a good place to breathe.
Dorringham Street, Chelsea, Didcot Parkway, and
Well, in London Paddington,
will passengers intending to travel on the service, please join the train now, as it is ready to leave. Platform
it is full,
2
it is
for the
busy,
07:50
it has
Great Western
the
Railway
greatest
service
of
to
ceilings,
Oxford.
and it has nice announcements now. Red Leader says, thank you for showing services that wasn't shown in the official stream. You're so welcome. Maybe I will do this more often now, like sneaking between embargo and release. This is the part where the subway trains, the underground trains, come out of the tunnel and go into AI, obviously. Only from here we can take them to stations. And all the layers, that is also important. Very welcome, Red Leader. Thank you for staying with me and talking to me all the time. Also, ASRTU. Thank you, CD Radar, for being here. And on Sunday, I am planning on going on SimRail and finally driving the 163. On Saturday, by the way, there will be ambassador content on the official Train Sim World stream or YouTube channel, and there are 2 videos of my making on Saturday starting at midday at noon, 12 o'clock UTC. That is 1 o'clock Central European time. 2 videos back to back. Not because I decided that they should be shown back to back, because they decided to show them back to back. We will see if that makes sense. It's about the E94 and the Peak Forest route. 2 a bit forgotten DLCs, maybe. Maybe they will reappear somewhere in a remaster. Red DLC Simrail is also good, another DLC coming this month. Yes, ASR2 will be able to tell you more on Sunday, I am sure. Thanks for the heads up, this Red Leader, and I say thank you guys for bearing with me, watching the stream and video, and see you soon. On Saturday, for example, I will be on the chat when Transit World channel shows my 2 videos starting at noon UTC. And then on Sunday night, probably with Simrail for a change. Thank you so much, and good night.